You know how to trade. You've spent hours watching videos, learning strategies, studying charts, trying to understand how the market works. You've seen patterns. You've learned about support and resistance. You've watched people explain entries, exits, risk management. And at some point, you reached a moment where you thought, I finally understand this. You open your charts. You start analyzing. And everything makes sense. You can see the setups. You can predict where the price might go. You feel confident. Maybe for the first time. But then, you take a trade. And something strange happens. Not in the market, but inside you. Your heart starts beating faster. You start questioning your decision. Was this the right entry? Should I wait? Maybe I entered too early. The market moves slightly against you, and suddenly, that confidence disappears. You feel stress. You feel pressure. You feel doubt. And without even realizing it, you close the trade. Too early. You take a small loss or a small win. And then you watch as the market goes exactly where you predicted. Exactly. The direction was right. The idea was right. But the execution was wrong. And this is one of the most frustrating experiences in trading because it creates confusion. You start asking yourself, if I was right, why did I lose? Why does this keep happening? Why do I understand the market but still can't make money? And that's the moment where most traders go in the wrong direction. They start thinking, I need a better strategy. I need more knowledge. I need to learn more. But what if that's not the problem? What if you already know enough? What if the reason you keep losing is not because you don't know what to do, but because you can't do what you already know? You take a trade. Everything looks good. Your setup is there. Your analysis makes sense. For a moment, you feel confident. You believe in your decision. You've seen this setup before. You know how it works. But then, the market moves slightly against you. Just a little. Nothing serious. Nothing that should break your plan. But inside you, something starts to change. You begin to think, what if I'm wrong? What if this keeps going down? What if I lose this trade? And the more you think, the more uncomfortable you feel. That small movement starts to feel much bigger than it really is. You zoom in, you watch every candle, every tick. And now, you're not following your plan anymore. You're reacting to the moment. You're reacting to fear. And before you even realize it, you close the trade. Not because your plan told you to, but because your emotions did. Now you're confused. Your analysis was right. Your idea was right. You saw the move before it happened. You understood the market. But somehow, you still lost the trade. And that doesn't make sense because in your mind, if you're right, you should be making money. But that's not what's happening. So you start questioning everything. Was my strategy wrong? Did I miss something? Do I need to learn more? And the more you think, the more confused you become. Because deep down, you know something strange is happening. You're not losing because you're wrong. You're losing even when you're right. And that's the most dangerous place to be because it pushes you to fix the wrong problem. So you start thinking, maybe the problem is my strategy. Maybe it's not good enough. Maybe it's outdated. Maybe it only works for others. And without even realizing it, you begin to doubt everything you've learned. You stop trusting your system. You stop trusting your analysis. And slowly, you go back into learning mode, watching more videos, looking for new strategies, searching for something better, something more accurate, something that feels safer. And for a moment, it gives you hope again. You feel like you're improving, like you're getting closer. But in reality, you're not solving the problem. You're just escaping it. Because the issue was never your strategy. It was what you did after entering the trade. So you try a new strategy. You feel excited again. You test it. You take a few trades, and at first, it seems to work. You get a win, maybe two, and you start believing, this is it. This is the one. But then, the same thing happens. You hesitate. You close too early. You break your rules. And the results go back to the same place. Losses, frustration, doubt. So what do? You blame the strategy again. And you start searching for another one, and another one, and another one, until one day you realize something strange. Every strategy feels different, but the result always feels the same. At some point, you have to stop and ask yourself one question. What if the strategy is not the problem? What if every strategy you tried was actually good enough? What if the reason you keep losing has nothing to do with the market? Because think about it. Different strategies, different setups, different methods, but the same result over and over again. That's not a strategy problem. That's a behavior pattern. And that's when it becomes uncomfortable. Because now, you can't blame the strategy anymore. You can't blame the market anymore. You can't blame bad luck. You have to look somewhere else. You have to look at yourself. There's something most traders don't understand. Knowing what to do is not the same as doing it. You can study the markets for hours. You can understand every setup. You can explain your strategy perfectly, but when it's time to execute, everything changes because execution happens under pressure, with money on the line, with uncertainty, with emotions. And in that moment, knowledge is not enough because knowledge lives in your mind, but execution depends on your behavior, and your behavior is controlled by your emotions. So even if you know exactly what to do, you might still do the opposite. And that's where most traders fail. Not in learning, but in doing. You see a setup. It's clean. It matches your rules. Everything is there. This is exactly the kind of trade you've been waiting for. But instead of acting, you hesitate. You look at the chart again. You wait for more confirmation. You start thinking, maybe I should wait one more candle. Maybe it's not the perfect entry. Maybe I'm missing something. And while you're thinking, the market starts moving without you. The move happens exactly as you expected, but you're not in the trade. You were right, but you didn't act. And that's one of the most frustrating feelings because you didn't lose money. You lost the opportunity. And slowly, that hesitation starts to destroy your confidence. This time, you don't hesitate. You take the trade. You enter correctly. Everything is going according to your plan. The market moves in your direction. You're in profit. And for a moment, you feel good, relieved. But then, a small pullback happens. Just a normal movement. nothing unusual, nothing dangerous. But inside you, the fear comes back. What if it reverses? What if I lose this profit? What if I turn a win into a loss? And suddenly, your focus changes. You're no longer thinking about your plan. You're thinking about protecting what you have. So you close the trade. Too early. You secure a small profit. You feel safe for a moment. And then you watch the market continue without you, going exactly to your target, the one you planned from the beginning, and once again, you were right, but you didn't follow through. After a few losses, something changes inside you. You don't want to wait anymore. You don't want to miss anything. You feel like you need to win back what you lost. So you start taking more trades. Setups you wouldn't normally take. Entries that don't fully match your plan, but in your mind, you justify it. This looks good enough. This could work. I don't want to miss this move. And one trade turns into two. Two turns into five. Five turns into 10. At this point, you're not trading anymore. You're chasing. Chasing the market, chasing your losses, chasing a feeling. And the more you trade, the less control you have. Your decisions become faster, more emotional, less precise. And before you realize it, you've completely lost discipline. At this point, it's clear. The problem is not your strategy. It's not the market. It's not bad luck. It's your behavior. And more specifically, your lack of discipline. Because discipline is what allows you to follow your plan, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when you're afraid, even when the outcome is uncertain. Discipline is what keeps you in the trade. When everything inside you wants to close it, it's what stops you from taking trades you shouldn't take. It's what protects you from your own emotions. And the truth is, discipline is not something you feel. It's something you do over and over again, every single day. Party ons. Discipline. Environment minute. At this point, it's clear. The problem is not your strategy. It's not the market. It's not bad luck. It's your behavior. And more specifically, your lack of discipline. Because discipline is what allows you to follow your plan, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when you're afraid, even when the outcome is uncertain. Discipline is what keeps you in the trade when everything inside you wants to close it. It's what stops you from taking trades you shouldn't take. It's what protects you from your own emotions. And the truth is, discipline is not something you feel. It's something you do over and over again, every single day. This is where everything comes together. Not the strategy, not the market, but you. The way you think, the way you act, the way you execute. Because at the end of the day, trading is not about being perfect. It's about being disciplined. Day after day, trade after trade, no emotions, no hesitation, just execution. If this video helped you, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Tell me what you struggle with the most in trading. And remember, discipline beats everything. See you next time.